The study is titled Invisible Victims. In 2004, there was a study comparing children raised by same-sex parents with those raised by man-woman parents that found no differences in depression in early adolescence. I re-examined that cohort and followed the children into adulthood, and I found that by age 28, the children that had been raised by same-sex parents were at over twice the risk of depression. Well, stigma is certainly a factor, but not anti-gay stigma. None of the children with same-sex parents that I looked at were themselves homosexual. But over 3/4 of them were clinically obese. They did report higher stigma, but it's probably stigma due to their weight and not to anything that has to do with sexual orientation. My conclusion says that well-intentioned concern for revealing negative information about stigmatized minorities does not justify leaving children without support in an environment that may be problematic or dangerous for their dignity and security. Obviously, it's not settled, or we wouldn't keep on finding negative results when we examine children in this population. The academic research community has been blinded by politically correct groupthink on this issue. There's a lot of junk research on same-sex parents, which uses non-random samples to come up with false positive findings. If we really want to know the struggles and the concerns of same-sex persons and their children in the real world, we have to use random sample population data. Otherwise, no matter what our study findings are, they don't apply to anyone in the real world, just the people in the study. That's just standard social science. Think about what you're suggesting here. If someone does a study where they don't find differences between two populations, one of which is very small, does the smallness of that population make it harder, or does it make it easier to find differences? The answer is, it makes it harder. So if someone does a study and doesn't find differences, you can say, well, if you'd used a larger sample, then you might have seen those differences that are there anyway. But if someone like me does a study where I do find differences, even with a small sample, then it provides greater confidence that if we had larger samples, those differences would still be there and might even be more visible. I care about the children who too often seem forgotten and left behind in our adult arrangements. We seem more and more to be asking children to endure hardship so that adults can seek greater fulfillment. Well, critics tend to be intolerant of any negative findings about this population. That's why the study's titled Invisible Victims. And because I report negative findings as well as positive findings, I get denigrated as anti-gay, often in direct contradiction to what I say in the study. Critics have also made fun of my religion, which is Catholic. If you feel you need to denounce me, at least read the study and denounce me intelligently, not because of something I never wrote. And please don't denigrate my religion. That's just not nice.